I am Vanessa, a 30-year-old. I have loved drawing since I was a child. Situated in a tranquil corner of a quaint town, I would often be found with a sketchbook in hand, meticulously capturing the landscapes and facial expressions of people around me. During my university years, I chose to specialize in fine arts, and upon graduating, actively sought opportunities to showcase my work. Despite my efforts, the journey to earn a living as a professional painter proved to be challenging. My life experienced a significant and positive shift when I encountered Jonathan. We met soon after I graduated. Jonathan was employed on a construction site at the time. His robust, tanned physique, coated in sweat as he transported lumber, seemed to belong to a cinematic scene. "Need a hand?" he asked, flashing a warm, inviting smile that immediately captured my heart. Jonathan was not only a skilled carpenter but also the owner of his construction company. He had a fervent passion for his craft and a dedication to creating safe, secure homes for families, often stating with pride, "Creating safe places for people to reside is my profession." This dedication resonated deeply with me, and as we spent more time together, my affection for him deepened. He also showed appreciation for my artistic endeavors, often supporting me by saying, "Your paintings possess the remarkable ability to touch people's hearts." After years of a loving relationship, we decided to get married. Supported by Jonathan's unwavering encouragement, I embarked on fulfilling my aspiration to become a self-reliant painter. This led me to make the bold decision to leave my job and commit myself full-time to my art, despite the inherent anxieties that came with such a significant change. The initial phase of my new career was marked by numerous challenges. I made rounds to various galleries attempting to sell my art and consistently promoted my work online, but success seemed slow to arrive. During these challenging times, Jonathan and my closest friend from university, Tiffany, stood by me as crucial pillars of support. Tiffany, who had built a career in marketing, held my work in high regard and provided invaluable advice, suggesting, "You should focus on building a stronger brand image for greater recognition." Her strategic guidance on effective social media promotion slowly began to draw more attention to my art. This increased visibility eventually led to a life-changing opportunity when a distinguished art collector, impressed by my work, offered me the chance to hold a solo exhibition. His endorsement helped secure a spot for me in a top-tier gallery, which significantly boosted my presence in the art world. As my professional career began to take off, not everyone seemed pleased with my success, especially my sister Samantha. Samantha had always exhibited a competitive streak, comparing everything from academic achievements to hobbies and even our circle of friends throughout our childhood. As a result, as adults, Samantha pursued a different kind of success after college. She married William, a doctor, and enjoyed a comfortable life as a housewife, equating success with financial stability and a luxurious lifestyle. It seems likely that my emerging success did not sit well with her. Initially, her comments were subtly disparaging. "Do painters really make that much money? Well, at least you have Jonathan to support you. Aren't art trends rather fleeting? What will you do if people suddenly lose interest in your work?" Initially, I took these comments lightly, but over time, Samantha's true feelings became increasingly apparent as her behavior shifted towards more direct expressions of disdain. Then, an extraordinary and completely unexpected incident unfolded. While I was involved in the preparations for my upcoming exhibition, a perplexing and sudden phone call came through from the gallery. "Is there a need to revisit the contract?" The instant I received that call, I found myself completely dumbstruck, at a total loss for words. The person representing the gallery spoke in vague terms, hinting at potential problems by saying, "We've been informed that there could be some issues concerning your artwork." This left me bewildered, and I urgently requested further clarification. "Issues?" "Yes, there has been a mention by one of the collectors that your works might be subject to plagiarism." Plagiarism? This accusation was entirely unprecedented for me, as my artistic integrity had always ensured that I created solely original pieces. Who would make such an accusation? Well, that's a bit complicated, the representative replied, avoiding a direct answer. Driven by this puzzling accusation, I decided to conduct my own investigation into these bizarre claims. It was then that I uncovered the unsettling truth that Samantha had been covertly orchestrating this scenario. She had been deceitfully contacting my clientele, spreading false accusations, suggesting that my artworks might be plagiarized. I felt a wave of anger coursing through me. Nevertheless, I made the conscious decision to momentarily set aside my fury and respond with a level-headed approach to safeguard my professional relationship with the gallery. That evening, I disclosed every detail with Jonathan. He listened intently and then posed a significant question. "What's your plan?" The idea of my career being tarnished by Samantha's falsehoods is unbearable. I am innocent. Jonathan showed his support with a nod and said, "I'll assist as well. Recently, I completed a significant project for a client who has a keen interest in art. I will introduce your work to him." This suggestion caught me off guard. It appeared that Jonathan could potentially leverage his extensive network as the president of his company to secure new clients for my artwork. I also sought advice from my closest confidante, Tiffany. Samantha was behind this, wasn't she? "That's terrible," she remarked, barely concealing her frustration. "But don't fret. I'll utilize my influence on social media to authenticate the originality of your artworks." Tiffany is a seasoned marketing expert. She promptly crafted posts that affirmed the originality of my creations and arranged for these to be disseminated through her professional contacts within the art industry. Shortly thereafter, a new client, introduced by Jonathan, expressed a profound appreciation for my work. "Your art is exceptional. It radiates a level of creativity I've seldom encountered." Hearing such affirmations, I was moved to the point of tears. Thanks to Tiffany, my artwork began receiving broader recognition and support on social media platforms, substantially boosting my professional reputation. Remarkably, even the gallery that had initially harbored doubts about my work conceded their mistake and opted to renew our contract, admitting, upon closer examination, "We found absolutely no issues with your artwork." I had successfully navigated through Samantha's underhanded sabotage and emerged with even greater support than before. Time passed, and a family gathering was on the horizon. I chose to attend with minimal fanfare, yet Samantha appeared visibly uncomfortable. "Vanessa, it seems you've been quite occupied lately." "Indeed. Thankfully, I have managed to secure several additional contracts, and the exhibition is proceeding exactly as planned." Samantha's expression momentarily tightened, a clear indication that she realized her attempts to undermine me had not succeeded. "Good for you," she finally managed to muster, though her smile failed to reach her eyes, revealing her true feelings. Yet the situation was far from resolved. In a desperate attempt to present a facade of success, Samantha decided to boast. "Listen, everyone," she called out with forced excitement. "William has just been promoted to partner at the hospital. This will certainly ensure even greater stability for our family life." Her announcement was met with immediate applause and congratulatory remarks from the family. A stable career is truly invaluable. I personally could never cope with a profession where the future is always uncertain. Samantha added, trying to contrast her supposed stability with the unpredictability of artistic careers. Although her comments were meant to provoke me, I chose to maintain my composure and not let her see that her words affected me. She then smugly smiled, showcasing her expensive, brand-name bag prominently on the table. "I decided to treat myself a bit," she declared, ostentatiously displaying her recently acquired luxurious jewelry and handbag. However, Jonathan and I were privy to the reality behind Samantha's display of opulence. Beneath her confident smile lay a subtle hint of panic. In truth, William had not received the promotion she boasted about. This information had come to me through my closest friend, Tiffany, whose boyfriend Howard worked closely with William and had shared these details about his ongoing struggles. William's performance at the hospital had not seen the anticipated improvement and had unfortunately plateaued. The financial boost that Samantha had eagerly anticipated had failed to materialize, leading to their current predicament where maintaining their lavish lifestyle was putting immense strain on their finances. In response to this, Samantha had begun to behave even more extravagantly than usual in an effort to convince everyone around her of her unbroken string of successes. But such facades are often fragile, and it was only a matter of time before hers would inevitably collapse. Recently, their home had suffered extensive damage due to a severe hurricane that was not anticipated. The storm had shattered windows, ripped off parts of the roof, and uprooted several trees in their garden, leaving their property in a state of ruin. That morning, as they surveyed the extensive damage, they found themselves at a loss for words, overwhelmed by the sudden devastation. Faced with the daunting cost of repairs, Samantha voiced her concern. "Hiring professional help will be quite expensive. Unfortunately, we really can't afford that at the moment. But the house is significantly damaged. What are we going to do about it?" William asked, his worry evident in his tone. "We'll have to figure something out," Samantha replied with a reluctant resolve. "Maybe we could ask Jonathan for help." "I'd rather not ask him," Samantha answered quickly, albeit with a slight surprise. "But he's family, and it might cost us less, right?" William continued. Samantha had been adamant about not wanting to rely on Jonathan for assistance. "I just don't want to depend on him," she stated firmly, digging in her heels. However, given the exorbitant costs associated with professional repair services, she found herself without many options. After considerable thought and facing the reality of their financial limitations, Samantha reluctantly conceded that she had no alternative but to request Jonathan's help. Jonathan arrived at their residence that same afternoon, donned in his customary work clothes, and immediately began to efficiently set up his assortment of tools. Throughout the repair process, Samantha observed him intently, seemingly searching for any fault in his methods to point out. However, Jonathan addressed every potential issue with a serene demeanor and meticulous attention to detail as he proceeded with the necessary repairs. He replaced the damaged roof tiles and then swiftly installed new windows, achieving an impeccable finish. A few days after Jonathan had completed all the necessary repairs, William could not help but express his astonishment at the high quality of the craftsmanship. The house appeared completely revitalized, almost as if it were brand new. Surprisingly, the dramatic transformation of their home quickly became a popular topic of discussion at the hospital where William worked. His colleagues eagerly commented on the renovations, and soon, the makeover of his house was the predominant subject of conversation in the staff room during their breaks. When he casually mentioned that Jonathan was responsible for the repairs, one of the hospital staff members excitedly shared, "I too had Jonathan work on my house recently, and he did an absolutely fantastic job." Another colleague joined in the conversation, exclaiming, "Really? Jonathan worked on William's house as well? No wonder it's undergone such an incredible transformation. Is Jonathan really that talented? Perhaps I should consider hiring him for some work on my own house too." As these discussions unfolded, questions and praises for Jonathan's skills ricocheted around the room, and before long, his craftsmanship was the highlight of discussions at the hospital. Not only was William's house a talking point, but Jonathan's reliability and skill also became well known among the hospital staff. That following weekend, we all convened at their beautifully restored home. Jonathan's exceptional carpentry skills were evident in every repaired corner of the house, and all the previously compromised areas had been thoroughly restored. Despite the joyful atmosphere, Samantha appeared slightly irritable throughout the gathering. William was noticeably cheerful, openly sharing with everyone how his colleagues at the hospital had lavished praise on the renovations. Everyone was quite envious. They repeatedly inquired about which contractor I had hired. "Jonathan, I can't thank you enough," William expressed his gratitude. Jonathan simply nodded and responded with a smile. "I'm delighted that you are pleased with the work. A home truly forms the foundation of one's life. Then Samantha, unable to hide her surprise at the accolades Jonathan was receiving, interjected with a hint of sarcasm. Wow, I had no idea he was held in such high regard. Indeed, Jonathan possesses remarkable skills, and I was genuinely pleased to see that his reputation was starting to get the recognition it deserved. I lightly shrugged and casually mentioned, Jonathan's company is quite well known. They take on significant projects as well. Samantha looked at me, her expression one of surprise. Jonathan's company? She looked confused, her gaze shifting back and forth between me and Jonathan. Yes, Jonathan's company, I affirmed with a reassuring smile. Wait, Jonathan isn't just a carpenter. Just a carpenter. Jonathan chuckled lightly at the question. Well, yes, I am a carpenter, but that's not all there is to it. Samantha's confusion only seemed to deepen. What do you mean? I always thought you were just covered in sawdust from the job site. Ah, that's because I'm actively on site. Our company handles everything from residential remodels to major commercial construction projects. I prefer not to be a president who is detached from the actual work, so I still actively participate in the field, Jonathan elaborated. President? You're the president. Samantha's voice almost cracked in disbelief. Yes, I've been running the company for about 10 years now. We've expanded quite a bit, and it keeps me quite busy. Jonathan explained nonchalantly, though his words clearly made Samantha feel even more cornered. I discreetly observed Samantha's reaction. Her eyes widened, seemingly unable to grasp the full extent of the information. So, you guys are doing quite well financially? Samantha inquired, attempting to maintain her composure, yet her voice slightly trembled. Thankfully, yes. Jonathan replied modestly, shrugging. But why haven't you mentioned this before? Samantha asked, her brow furrowing in suspicion. It's not that I was hiding it. I simply never spoke of it because no one had asked. Jonathan responded with a light laugh. But this seemed to irritate Samantha further. She crossed her arms and let out a snort. If you're a president of a company, you should be more forthcoming and boast about it with confidence. Jonathan simply shrugged again. I'm not in it for bragging. What truly matters is the trust and the integrity of the work we do. Samantha momentarily lost her words, but then seemed to suddenly remember something and brightened up as if to challenge the conversation. Well, speaking of which, I'm actually pregnant. The room momentarily descended into silence. What? I asked, staring at Samantha in disbelief. Really? I continued, my voice filled with surprise. Our parents' eyes widened significantly as they processed the news. Samantha, looking quite pleased with herself, smiled broadly. Yes, it's still very early, but I suppose it explains why I've been feeling unusually fatigued recently, she explained. Taken aback, I managed to muster a response, congratulations. Samantha's face bore a smug expression. Right? This will surely add even more joy and vibrancy to our family, she remarked confidently. At that moment, the earlier tension seemed to dissipate, replaced by a new subject that brought with it a mix of emotions. Our parents responded with joyous exclamations and beaming smiles. That's wonderful news. Feeling a surge of pride, Samantha then shared additional news. That's precisely why William and I decided to invest in a vacation home. She elaborated with evident pride. With the arrival of the baby, we'll certainly need a peaceful retreat, don't you think? We've thought about a place that the whole family can enjoy. Our parents initially appeared taken aback by the announcement, but quickly transitioned to expressions of delight. However, William's face showed signs of strain, and Samantha, noticing his troubled look, pressed on with renewed confidence. Jonathan, caught slightly off guard, inquired, That sounds quite impressive. Where is the property located? Samantha's sense of pride visibly swelled as she responded. It's a luxurious villa situated near the lake. It's exceptionally spacious and boasts a very stylish design, Samantha boasted proudly. Upon hearing this, our parents once again collectively voiced their admiration, echoing, "That's incredible." As Jonathan and I made our way home after the dinner, I began to discuss the day's revelations with him. "Do you really believe Samantha's story about the villa? The area she mentioned near the lake is renowned for its luxurious properties. Considering her recent financial difficulties, it seems quite improbable that she could afford such an extravagantly priced property." Jonathan drove quietly for a bit before responding. "Actually, the villa Samantha referred to might be the very one that was recently included on the bank's foreclosure list." His words stunned me into silence, and even Jonathan momentarily averted his gaze, clearly uncomfortable with the implications. "A foreclosure list? Really?" I queried, unable to hide my shock. "Yes, I am quite certain. I've also heard some discussions about that property potentially being auctioned off by the bank." At that instant, I felt certain of my suspicions. Samantha's narrative was nothing more than a facade. Upon arriving home, I wasted no time in calling William. The phone rang briefly before he picked up. "Hello?" "William, I need to clarify something," I began, my voice laden with concern. "The villa Samantha mentioned, I heard it was on a recent foreclosure list. Is it true that you actually purchased it?" A heavy silence fell before William responded. "Yes, it's true. We did attempt to purchase a villa." My heart skipped a beat. I never imagined that Samantha would tell such a big lie. "But why is it facing foreclosure?" William sighed before continuing. "We initially thought everything would proceed smoothly. However, the financial obligations became too challenging over time, and ultimately, we couldn't keep up with the payments. As a result, we failed to secure the villa." Hearing this, I inadvertently gasped, shocked by the revelation. "Does Samantha know about this situation?" "I have informed her, but she has chosen not to accept the reality and instead has misrepresented the truth to maintain appearances." William's tone conveyed deep regret, a sentiment that could no longer be concealed. Despite Samantha's attempts to project an image of affluence, the reality remained starkly different. This news left me with mixed feelings. "Thank you for telling me, William. It's important that you and Samantha discuss this honestly and work through it together." I softly spoke these words before ending the call. William, with a subdued voice, uttered a quiet apology and ended the call. Afterward, I shared the details with Jonathan. I explained to him the villa that Samantha mentioned was actually on the brink of foreclosure. They were unable to manage the financial commitments and ultimately lost the property. Jonathan responded with a soft murmur. I had suspected as much, and his expression turned to one of concern. I wonder how William and Samantha are going to cope with this. If their relationship starts to unravel under these pressures, it might be beyond repair. His words echoed a deep worry for their well-being. Hearing him express such concern also caused a tightness in my chest, reflecting my own apprehensions. Despite my awareness of Samantha's often superficial and pretentious behavior, I held on to a hope that they might still find a path to genuine happiness. "I sincerely wish for Samantha to embrace change," I remarked quietly, reflecting on her situation. "She needs to adopt a more truthful approach and gather the courage to face reality. However, any change has to come from her desire to do so, otherwise all our discussions are futile." Jonathan nodded in agreement and added, "Indeed, I hope that one day Samantha will be able to confront her true self." We then sat together in silence, each lost in thoughts about the future, hoping for a day when Samantha might find her way. But the reality of their situation was far from simple. Samantha persisted in her ostentatious lifestyle, continually purchasing luxury goods in an effort to maintain an appearance of wealth far beyond her means. Over time, William became increasingly weary of this unsustainable way of living, and his emotional connection with Samantha began to wane. Engulfed by her own vanity, Samantha remained in denial about their real circumstances, which were continually exacerbated by accumulating debts and lies. The ongoing disputes and persistent dishonesty eventually drove William to make the difficult decision to leave. Shortly after, Samantha experienced a miscarriage, which was undoubtedly precipitated by the immense stress and physical strain she was under. This loss, compounded by William's leaving, plunged her into a deep state of mourning. It was at this point that Samantha truly comprehended the heavy cost of her previous lifestyle choices. The once glamorous life she had curated for herself disintegrated, leaving her burdened with significant debt and no sustainable means of support. As someone who had primarily been a housewife, Samantha found herself lacking the necessary skills and experience to secure stable employment. She made several attempts to find work, but her efforts were short-lived, and she quickly resigned from several positions. The facade that had once served to protect her now became a heavy chain that restricted her, leaving her unable to rely on her parents and feeling increasingly isolated and anxious. A neighbor once remarked to me, "In the end, everything built on lies is destined to collapse." I pondered this statement with a calm demeanor. Jonathan and I often discussed how the foundations of genuine relationships and earnest effort, rather than wealth or possessions, are the true measures of value. These principles, although they may require more time and may not always be glamorous, are what ultimately lead to meaningful success. One should focus on being true to oneself, rather than how others might perceive us. Jonathan shared with me one evening a sentiment that continues to resonate deeply with me. He has always remained grounded, never allowing superficial matters to sway him, and has consistently approached his work with utmost sincerity. This genuine approach not only endeared him to those around us, but also built a level of trust that has propelled him to considerable achievements within the construction industry. He has undertaken numerous projects, each underpinned by his technical prowess and efficiency, garnering several industry accolades. Particularly noteworthy was his role in a major urban redevelopment project, which not only received extensive media coverage, but also solidified his reputation in the construction sector. He has always placed high value on the trust he has developed with his clients, which has ultimately positioned him at the pinnacle of his profession. Parallel to his success, I have pursued my passion for painting, gradually establishing myself in the art world after years of dedication. My artwork, recognized for its unique use of abstract color and emotional expression, has resonated with many and attracted attention from art fairs and collectors globally, leading to several opportunities to exhibit internationally. This journey of artistic expression has been immensely fulfilling, allowing me to share my worldview through my paintings. Together, we have celebrated our individual successes, supporting each other's growth and achievements. The trust and effort we have incrementally built over the years have undoubtedly culminated in the success we enjoy today, a testament to our shared belief in the importance of perseverance and building lasting relationships. Our achievements are not the result of sudden fortune, but are the fruits of long-term dedication. We remain committed to supporting each other and are confident in our ability to build an even greater future together.